Oh, hello, Alive. I get to be with Charmaine right now on Zoom. And while Zoom is never enough, I miss being in your presence, Charmaine. At least it gets me to see your face and hear your voice. Um, so, good morning.
Good morning, Darren. It's great to be with you too.
This is our week for doing our one step where we go and we serve, and we understand ourselves to be the hands and feet of Jesus, and we focus on loving people who could use some extra love. And
Mhm.
so the hard part, though, is like we're all stuck in our homes. But you've been passionate about from the beginning of coronavirus that this is the time for us as followers of Jesus to really live out our faith. Can you tell me more and tell us more about what you're passionate about and why?
Yeah. Well, this whole experience has reminded me of some of the things that I learned when I was in seminary around how the early church responded to epidemics like this, disasters like this. But the thing that was most appealing to me was that they had no fear. They went right to the center of whatever the problem was, whatever the health concern was. They went right to it, and they took care of people. For example, there was an epidemic that went through the Roman Empire in about 165 AD, and the people who were sick were literally being thrown out into the streets. And so the Christians, they would go out and they would pull them off the streets and take them into their homes, and they would nurse them back to health. And if they died, they would give them a decent burial. And they were just the hands and feet of Jesus during that whole epidemic. And when it was all over, there was just such an amazement and such a respect for the believers that the church just really expanded exponentially. And the reality is that I think that we're at that same kind of place with this pandemic. We can still be the hands and feet of Jesus, even though we have restrictions on how we live our lives. We can still do things to support and benefit our neighbors and our family members and the people in our church community. So those were the kinds of things that I wanted to start exploring, of how we can be those people as the early church was.
So, Alive, we are not going to get together gather at someone's home or gather at some place and serve someone all together physically, but we are going to get together this weekend on Zoom and to pray together, but also to talk about how do we live this out? How do we love right now when we're stuck in our homes? How do we continue to be the hands and feet of Jesus in this particular unique moment? We've got some ideas that different ones of us have come up with below here in this email, and we're asking you to think of other ideas and for us to share them together as a church so that we can keep thinking of like, how do we love, how do we serve right in this moment right now? With that, may God bless each one of you. And Charmaine, thank you for sharing your passion with us today.
Thank you, Darren.